So what's up, guys? Figured I'd do a quick how-to on how to remove the OEM downpipes on a C7 S6 D4 A4 S8. Should be about the same. I've done this once before. It's not a hard job. Just taking the heat shield off and bolting the downpipes and wiggling them out. So it's not difficult. I installed some aftermarket downpipes on my other S6, so I figured this one I'll do a quick video on how to take them off for yourself. Now this car has a bad engine. I bought this as a parts car, so I already have a lot of it deconstructed, but you can easily do this with everything still reattached. I'm just in the process of pulling the whole motor out of this car, and I figured I'll just show a couple of things on my way to do it. So now from the other side of the car, I already have it off, but you gotta take out the skid plate or whatever you want to call it. Pretty much the big splash guard plastic piece that covers the bottom of the oil pan. It's held on with mostly our Torx bits. Then you're gonna want to take off this bracket or whatever it's considered. That one's gonna be a little bit tougher. Uses big heavy-duty hex bolts, but they should still break loose pretty simple with basic tools. And what you're going to want to do is get access to these flanges, because these flanges are where the downpipe connects to the mid pipes. 3 bolts, one of them is behind the pipe, and again, this is a pretty straightforward thing to do. Depending on the environmental weather conditions and age of the car, these might be a little bit more seized or stuck, more difficult to take off. But again, not too difficult with hand tools. I did this on my other S6 with a little bit under 90,000 miles, and they came right off with hand tools. Didn't have any issue. This car is about 130,000 on it, so I'm gonna see how much more difficult these are. There's also going to be a mount. Now this is the passenger side. There's a mount for the downpipe to the transmission, and this is the driver's side. The way the car is off the ground, it's a little bit more tight over here, but same deal. 3 flanges, or I mean 3 bolts on a flange, and then there's a trans mount up here that kind of just holds the downpipes into place. So you're going to disconnect this all from underneath the car. Alright, so these are actually 12mm bolts. You're going to need a extension to kind of just reach past the kind of hub mark, because you can't put your ratchet directly onto that right there. But 12mm bolts, let's see how hard these are to get off. Oh yeah, it's pretty stubborn. I'm gonna have to put the phone down and probably put some effort behind it. Alright guys, so honestly it wasn't that hard. I just had to put down my phone and, use 2 hands, get a little bit more pressure, but after it broke loose, it is pretty straightforward, comes right off. Take this one off and take the other 3 off, and we'll continue. Yeah, like I said, not difficult to do at all. 3 bolts separating the mid pipes from the down pipes. Another bracket up there loose, and that pretty much is all that will hold them down here. Just got to get the driver's side done, and most of the other stuff you got to take off will be on the upside. Alright, so now after you get the downpipes disconnected from the bottom end, you're going to want to take off, you're going to have to take off this firewall. Pretty much to give you any sort of clearance to get these downpipes out. Honestly, the hardest part, the first time I did this, was wiggling the downpipes out in such a tight space, and that includes taking all this out. First, you're going to want to start by taking off the weather stripping, which I already had disconnected. This cowl piece, again, this just kind of clips in multiple spots. This one's already loose, but you just pry it up, obviously. Be careful when you're doing it not to crack anything. Then it brings you to this. Gonna need a couple of tools to kind of just take these trim pieces off. As you can see, it's held on. You're gonna want to remove the O2 sensors, which is a 20mm socket. Should be pretty straightforward. And then you're going to get in here, take these clips off. There's a few on this side. You're also going to have to remove this vacuum line. Alright, so we're going to have to remove this whole entire brace. And as you can see, that's about, I think it's five bolts. One's tucked way back there, 2 on each side. They're pretty easy to get off. They're not tight at all. This is just a regular flex head ratchet. So you just remove those 5 bolts off to get this tie brace off. Alright, so all 5 bolts are off, and this bracket simply just pops out. Pretty straightforward. So now, I don't know what the fuck that was. Anyway, so now you can see down here, this is actually a electrical box. So there's a lot of voltage that runs through this. Forgot to say it in the beginning of the video. I probably put a little note at the beginning of the video, but you need to disconnect your battery for this, especially at this part. You know, if your battery's connected, you're gonna have a bad time. If you got this far with the battery still hooked up to the car, you've probably already messed up anyway. But definitely make sure before you take those cords off that you disconnect your battery, because that is, you know, really bad if you didn't. Alright, next step I'm going to do is removing the O2 sensors. Now, both sides, each side has 2. You have your pre-cat, which is actually an engine management sensor, and then you got your post-cat, which is an emissions catalyst efficiency sensor. You're going to have to remove both of these, obviously, and also you're going to have to remember which one goes where, because you cannot swap these. It will cause issues. Now, if you are doing a downpipe install, some aftermarket downpipes don't cross over, they go straight back. You're going to have to get extensions to run this O2 sensor on this side and vice versa. But that's only if you're doing a downpipe swap where the downpipes go straight back and don't cross over. O2 sensors are generally 22 millimeter. They make O2 sensor sockets, which will probably be a lot easier. I have a 22 millimeter wrench with me at the moment, and that is what I'm going to try and use before I walk my ass back to the other garage to get the socket for them. As a matter of fact, I might need to get a socket for those with the way they're positioned. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and just try and wrench these off. Alright, so I got the front O2 sensor off. And now is actually a pretty good time too. If you want to see how your engine's running, you can always check the condition of the sensor itself. This one looks pretty healthy. I'm trying to get the focus. If they're more bright white, usually it's a sign of lean condition. If they're dark black, sooty, it's usually the car running rich or burning oil. And if they have more of a yellow tint, I believe that's coolant. But these actually look pretty healthy for what I can tell. And you also need to be careful with these because the heat element inside these that reads the oxygen levels is really fragile, so you don't exactly want to drop it or swing it, throw it around, ding the tip of it, because it is a really sensitive element in there. Okay, so I was able to get that one out with a wrench, but with the positioning of these, I'm gonna have to get a O2 sensor socket. Even then, that one wasn't too hard at all with just a wrench. These should break out pretty easily, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove these now. Alright, with the O2 sensors out and out of the way, you're going to want to start taking off these little clips to get the heat shield off, which will in turn help you get the firewall off. There were some other ones too. They were already off when I started taking this apart, but there's 2 more clips that hold the upper heat shield onto that bracket that was up here. And then you're going to want to go ahead and unbolt this electrical box that we unplugged the wires from earlier. A couple bolts there. We're going to get that out of the way because that is bolted down to this bulkhead. Alright, so you do have to battle these grommets a little bit. As you can see, they have kind of like some spikes, and there's grooves on the stud. So as these kind of like push down, they kind of just grip the grooves, hold the heat shield back. I'm sure somebody knows an easier way to get these off. I just pried it off with a screwdriver. It looks like there's this tool you can use to probably twist them and get them off, but I just pry them off. Probably just like a one-time use if you do that. Somebody else knows how to get these off easier. I'm sure they can chime in and say. Alright, so I popped this grommet out. As you can see, it's kind of just a little rubber lip held on in there. Just kind of pry around with a screwdriver and prop it out. Do be careful, obviously. If you crack this plastic line, it is not going to be a good time for you. It's going to be another part you have to replace. But you want to get that nice and loose, and then keep disconnecting everything back here, and we'll go from there. Alright, after you get those tabs off and kind of move this grommet out of the way, I kind of tucked it in here, you're going to want to unbolt this bulkhead. There's a bolt there, and there is a little torque screw down there. I think those are only two from what I remember. I'm going to take those two out and find out. The heat shield you simply just got to pull back. It'd be kind of difficult to get out with the downpipe still in, but it gives you enough room to get to these bolts. Alright, so this is all loose. This side was simply a 10mm socket, need to get it off, like 8mm bolt I think. And then for some odd reason they thought using a T25 dug in that corner was a great idea. After that, it takes a little bit of finagling to get out. I won't be able to do it on camera. I am probably just going to have to put this down real quick, wiggle it out, and then come back. Alright, so that's free. Do be careful. I did slightly bend this. This is thin sheet metal. Bent it a little bit right there. Don't really think it's much of an issue. You could probably just bend it back into place. Also, power wire is attached right there. Pops right out with a flathead screwdriver. We're going to get this out of the way. And there is so much more room for activities. The next step is simply just to unbolt these downpipes and go through the process of wiggling them out. Pulling the heat shield or a bulkhead out, you do kind of need to bend these a little bit. Just do be careful. I am pretty sure these are coolant lines for your heater. You do just kind of got to flex them a little bit to get that bulkhead out. So next step would be to take these bolts out. Alright, again, this is just fairly simple. 12mm socket, and they literally kind of just screw right off. Almost no resistance, no breaker bar needed. Pretty simple. There's 5 of them. Some of them might be a bit more of a pain in the ass to get to with a socket. You might have to go out them with a wrench, and getting leverage at that point might be a bit of a pain in the ass. But we will, I'll take these off and check back in a second. Alright, so got all 5 bolts off. Again, pretty simple, just hand tools. They're all 12mm sockets. And so here's the fun part. They're all loose. The problem is now is getting them out of the car with a limited space. And again, I'm doing this from my phone. Gonna have to put my phone down. It is a big pain in the ass. I did this once before in my other S6 and took bit of time to get them out. I eventually did, but I'm gonna go ahead and get to that and then be back in a second. And that's it. Literally, I kind of lied. It took me like literally 3 minutes to kind of get them out of here. I'll be honest with you, I kind of forced the driver's side one up through. I put a lot of pressure on these. Again, this is a parts car. I don't care. But if it's your daily driver, you want to be really careful not to break one of these lines. They're still fine, but again, that's just something you might happen if you're taking it off. But that's it. They're free to go. Any questions about these I can think of that I've seen online? My last set, the one that took off my other S6 when I went to aftermarket downpipes, I got about $800 for them, for both of them, 400 each I want to say. So if anybody's curious about how much they cost, what they go for. Another kind of just a FYI, the bolts for these, do not reuse these. And when you go to either reinstall your downpipes or put on your aftermarket downpipes, get some decent exhaust nuts, copper exhaust nuts. The downpipes I got for my other car backed out and they had lock washers. I got a pair of locking copper exhaust nuts, and they've been fine ever since. Gasket wise, this one's kind of rough, but these are metal gaskets, and to be completely honest with you, and I'm pretty sure the purists will hate it, but if you can kind of clean these up nicely, you know, like a scuffing pad, sand them down, you can reuse these, honestly. This one's kind of rough. The ones on my other S6 that I had 50,000 less miles weren't nearly as bad. Do not use those cheap paper gaskets that sometimes come with downpipe kits. They, again, will blow out, and then you will have a major exhaust leak in your engine bay and wonder why you're sucking in 200-degree air. Ask me how I know that. But I did, you know, honestly, and then this is at your own risk, but these are decent enough you can clean them up and reuse them. Like stated earlier, I am not going to be reassembling this. This is a parts car, but reverse order to put new dowmpipes in or put these original dowmpipes back in. It's same thing backwards. Just make sure everything's bolted up nicely. Torque the nuts down, get new nuts, get a new gasket, or if you really need to, you could reuse the old one, just clean it up a bit. This whole process is 2 hours, and that's with me using my phone, recording it, trying to get these videos. It's not a difficult task as a DIY. Just want to say this is my first time doing a video like this, so I am sorry for the sloppiness, and you know, hopefully I'm gonna get better quality videos, learn from this. Hopefully next week I'm gonna take out the turbos. It's also pretty easy. I did that on my other S6, went to the RS7s, did it with everything still in the car, so this will be extremely easy. Also show how to get the spark plugs changed, which for this car is a huge pain in the ass. Anybody wants to see anything else, just go ahead and let me know.